Are you planning to visit Crete, or maybe you're actually already in Crete? It is a list with my 7 favorite beaches in this beautiful island, a list that I've been organizing through my many trips in the last 20 years. And a list that probably I'm gonna expand with the next trip I will do to Crete in 2 months. But let's start straight away with beach number 1. The first beach I want to talk about is probably the most popular beach actually of the island, which is Lagoons beach. You can find it on the west coast of Crete, and if you're on a day trip, for example from Ania, it takes about 1 hour 30. The easiest way to reach this place is by renting a scooter or by renting a car. This beach is also called the pink sand beach, obviously because of the color of the sand, which is unique to the island. You arrive to the beach through a long coastal road, you descend a hill, and then boom, suddenly you find this beautiful bay. It is quite a wide parking area, so you can always leave a car or the scooter there and walk towards the beach. There are actually 2 beaches. One is the front beach with this beautiful and unique pink color. There are plenty of seabeds and umbrellas available. And then there is the back beach, which usually tends to be a little bit more windy. Connected to Lagoons beach, there is a small island that you can easily walk to, and it's definitely a great pastime. This is probably the most popular beach that you can find in Crete, together with Balos beach, more on that later. Which means, of course, that you're going to share this beach with many other travelers. Nevertheless, it's a must experience once you are in Crete. A tip I can give you here is to bring food with you, because there are no real tavernas facing the beach. There are a couple of small bars, and the food over there is not great, besides also being expensive. The second beach, which is definitely worth visiting, is called Thalasarna beach. This beach is also on the west coast of Crete, and you can reach it with about 40 minutes trip from Hania. You can find also there accommodation and a few tavernas if you want to have some food by the beach. So in this respect, it's much better than Lagoons. It doesn't have a pink beach, but the beach is very wide and long, with plenty of possibility for both an organized stays with sunbeds and sun umbrellas, or just if you want to lay down by the beach and chill out. This is a great spot if you want to take maybe a few days to relax in Crete. It's all about the beach, the fantastic water, and also the possibility that you have in snorkeling, because on the northern side of the beach there is a shipwreck that you should explore. The water is so transparent and you can explore this shipwreck, which is just 1 meter, 1.5 meters below the level of the water. The only drawback that I see is that in July and August can be a little bit windy, especially in the late afternoon, but it's not gonna be a deal breaker, and if you don't really like wind, you can stay always on the southern side of the beach, which is well repaired by a little cliff. Now, before moving to the next beach, which is the far east side of the island, just a couple of words about how to access these beaches. You have essentially 3 possibilities. The first one is to take a public transportation. Before, the timetable can be quite annoying because maybe you have to leave the beach before the sunset, or you're gonna arrive too late to the beach, or even too early. The second possibility is to take organized trips. It's gonna cost more than obviously the public bus, but you're gonna maximize your time at the beach. The drawback of organized tours obviously is that the old bus is gonna arrive at the same time in the same beach. The third possibility, which is also the one I highly suggest, is to rent a car and explore the island by yourself. And besides that, you can share your time between the beach, the local villages, and some amazing trekking that Crete can offer. I usually book my car when I go to Crete through a comparison website that I'm gonna put into the video description. This website works a little bit of an Airbnb of car rentals, where every car rental is actually ranked between 5 and 10 stars based on the feedback of customers like myself. So when I usually book my cars, I put a filter between 8 and 10 stars, just to be sure I'm gonna have only the most trusted operators of the island. And then I book the car based on the model and also the price, of course. And now let's jump to the third beach. The third beach is Vai Beach or Palm Beach. This is one of the easternmost beaches actually of the island, and it's the only palm beach that you can find in Europe. In fact, as you enter this beach, you may feel like you are suddenly in Central America or in Southeast Asia. The beach is partially organized, and there is also a small taverna with a beautiful view over the beach. If you decide to eat there, I suggest booking a table as you arrive to the beach, because especially if you are there in July and August, this taverna can be quite busy, being the only one at the beach. If you make it to Vine Beach, also spare maybe an hour to explore Erimopolis Beach, which is just 10 minutes from Vine Beach. You will find also the ruins of an old temple. There are not as many people, so you can really wander around almost by yourself. Now let's go back to Vine Beach. There are a couple of drawbacks about this place, and the first one is the fact that you can actually visit only if you can rent a car. There are no organized trips that arrive to this place, but this means also that Vine Beach is not as busy, for example, as Elafonisi Beach. Another thing you should keep in mind, if you're after a sunbed, then try to make it there before 10:30 in the morning, especially if you're traveling there in July and August. The fourth beach, which is also reachable from Hania in the western side of the island, is called Balos Beach, and together with Elafonisi Beach probably are the two most popular locations in Crete. So expect to share this beach with a few people, especially if you are there in late July and August. You can arrive to this beach either by car through a long dirt road, or you can take an organized trip that will take you there by boat. And this is my favorite option. Now, an important point here, most of the car renters don't allow to rent a car and drive to Balos Beach just because of the accidents happen on this dirt road. Now, this lagoon is one of the most beautiful you can find in Europe, in my opinion. There are two sides of it, one with a calm and shallow water, which works very, very well if you're traveling with kids, and the northern side as beautiful, but the water goes down deep, and besides that, it can be also quite windy. If you make it to Balos Beach, organize yourself with food and drinks, because similarly to Elafonisi Beach, the food that the couple of small bars that are there sell is not the best, especially considering you are in Greece. I'm gonna put a link into the video description about two tour operators that organize boat trips there. Have a check, and importantly, book well in advance, because this is a popular trip. Usually they have a free cancellation policy up to 48 hours, so in case you change your plan, it's not a big issue. And now let's go down to the south coast to discover Preveli Beach. This is a beach you can access in about 40 minutes from either Revimno or from Heraklion. It's a famous beach because of a couple of things. The first one is that the back of the beach is basically a botanical garden, and I definitely suggest having a walk there to explore the incredible vegetation. There are also palm trees, so definitely a must-see place. And what you will discover is also a river that goes through this botanical garden into the beach. So when you have a jump in the water, you will find out that actually the water can be a mix of salty water and fresh water, and it's gonna be also colder than usual because the water comes from the mountain. In this case, there is a little taverna on the beach, which is quite nice. I love my food there, but I must say it was one of the most expensive tavernas actually I found along the beach in Crete. Access to this beach is not easy, unfortunately. In fact, you have to park the car or the scooter on top of a cliff and walk down. The walk takes about 15 minutes, so it's not really a long walk, but it's quite demanding. But I tell you, once you are at the beach, it's totally worth it. Another beach I suggest visiting is also on the south coast. It's called Matala Beach. This beach was famous in the 70s and part of the 80s with hippies, staying on the western end of the beach into small cavernas. Unfortunately, these caves have now been fenced off, although you can always find a way to walk in and explore. Probably the beach itself is not as nice as the other beaches that I've spoken in this video, but the whole environment is definitely a must experience. And now let's move to the last beach, which is a bit of a hidden gem. In fact, this is the only one that you will just share it with a bunch of other travelers. Marmara Beach is very close to Lutro, which is a coastal town on the southern side of the island that can be accessed only by ferry. From Lutro, you can have a walk of about 4 kilometers and you can arrive to this stunning, beautiful beach. The last time I visited, the walk itself was so spectacular that I remember it actually much better than the beach. There were goats around and the coastal line was stunning. Definitely an experience that I suggest. You can also think to take one of the small boats back from the beach to Lutro. This is another option, and if I remember well, it costs between 5 and 7 euros. And now before closing this video, I want to give you also another bonus beach, which is in Crete Island. You can reach this tiny island from the south coast from the town of Yarapeta. It's a short trip, it takes about 60 minutes. Until a few years ago, the boat could dock actually at the island and you could enjoy the beautiful, amazing beach with incredible colors. And that's when I visited for the last time. But just 2 years ago, the Crete government decided to close the island and now the boats can't dock there anymore. So you can actually reach the beach only with a boat that will take you a few meters from the beach. You will have to jump into the water and swim right there. This is more of an adventure than it used to be, but in my opinion, totally worth it. And if you're still with me in this video, I guess you appreciated the effort in making it, and I hope you're gonna subscribe to the channel because I will have more content about Greece and other parts of Europe. You click on the like button because that means a lot to me. And let me know in the comment area if you have visited any of these beaches or if you're planning to visit one or more from this list. And that's it for this video. I see you next week. Ciao, bye.